Hello, friends, and welcome again to another single-serving tabletop adventure from Queen's Court Games. I am Aaron, your storyteller, and tonight we're taking a trip to the 1920s for The Dream Factory, a Hollywood horror scenario by John Scott Tynes. This originally appeared in the Mortal Coils expansion for Call of Cthulhu. We'll be playing Trail of Cthulhu tonight, but if you want to check out the scenario or either of those systems for yourself, you can find a link by popping !scenario in chat or taking a peek at the show notes if you're catching up on YouTube or one of our podcasts. Also, being a horror scenario, there might be certain topics viewers find uncomfortable or objectionable. You can get a list of those topics by typing !safety in chat or in the show notes. We've conducted a session 0 and done check-ins with everyone else, so we know we're good to go, but we want to keep you, the viewers, safe as well. Our lovely cast is waiting, and I am downright turgid at the prospect of introducing them. But first, a small note. If at any point during this game you find your mouse sliding on down to the subscribe button, consider instead sliding over to our Patreon page. You'll get more bang for your content buck there. $5 a month gets you special episodes, exclusive art rewards, and more. And we won't have to split your money with an anti-union robber baron whose shaved head resembles a beady-eyed turgid earthworm. With that out of the way, allow me the great privilege of introducing my cast tonight. As scientist Callum Broadbent, he's the stream team scheme machine, and of the crop, he is the cream. From Play Nerd Allies, it's Cyle.
Hey!
As alienist Johanna von Stüber, she's the main Jane game brain player's bane at Heroes and Hooligans, it's Hooli. As veteran soldier Marcus Develo, raise a cup of plain black tea for the carefree MVP of D&D at QCG, it's Josh.
Hello there.
And lastly, but certainly not leastly, as cop-turned-journalist Minnie Foster, she's the all-heart, all-art counterpart who's never read Discard, but wants to visit Stuttgart, it's V.
Hi, love all of the rhymes today, Aaron. Great job.
I have to ration them. You only get, if the second scenario, there won't be there because this is really hard. And I mean, like, I'm not that good. But I will take our flip 4 players, myself, and you, the viewers, into the 1920s. (1926 to be specific, in Hollywood, California. We are in the center of the Jazz Age, which began in 1914 and has continued, a breakthrough in arts and society, a period of wonderful nonsense that historians will later refer to as the Roaring Twenties. This is the era of Hemingway and Faulkner and Fitzgerald, plays of Eugene O'Neill and George Kaufman, the poetry of T.S. Eliot and Gertrude Stein, the radio playing Fats Walker, Duke Ellington, and Cole Porter. And as wonderful as that art is, it is also the dawn of the silver screen. Americans have become quite used to the works of Charlie Chaplin, Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks, but we are only 1 year past the original feature film release. And audiences around the world, around the country, are snapping up those hour-and-a-half-long films featuring the great photoplay heroes. But our story does not take place, at least not yet, on a fancy film lot or in the smoke-filled offices of producers. Oh no. We are in a dingy private investigator's office, just a few blocks south of Sunset in Hollywood, where Mr. Marcus Develo and Miss Johanna von Stüber have been waiting patiently for the next big case. Now, it's been a while. Maybe money is running short, maybe patience running shorter. Your luck is about to change, if you can call it luck. But before that happens, I'd like to know, Marcus, Johanna, what does the office look like on a lazy, waiting for business day?
I'd say that we share this office quite a lot, and there is quite clearly a divide between whose section is whose. Johanna's is probably a hell of a lot tidier than what mine is. Although I'm military, I've grown a bit lazy in my former years, and my desk itself is, the legs on it are a bit buckled, and you can see that there's probably some old case files that is propped underneath one of the legs to keep it held up. There's case files on the top of it. My chair is creaky and it almost bends all the way back as I'm currently sat in it with my legs up. I'm toying with 2 coins on the desk. One is a British coin and the other one is an American coin, and I'm just flicking them around. I'm just eyeing around at the sky, looking out at the blinds, at what's going on out in the area where we are, and I'll just look over to Johanna sitting at her desk and just sort of tut very loudly towards her.
Yeah, you'll find Johanna sitting at her desk, very much more neat and organized so than Marcus. Johanna's desk is made of mahogany. Everything is neat and organized. Files stacked in a file holder. A Shea lounge sitting in front of her desk for when she is seeing clients trying to continue to maintain the funds that are so poorly running out. Things are a little rough. It's a little smoky on her side as Johanna, being ex-military, picked up some habits as well that she has maintained in her civilian life. One of them being maintaining clean and tidy, and also the smoking and sailor mouth.
Happens to the best and the worst of us. One thing I did want to pick up on, that Marcus is playing with coins. Is that the kind of thing where you give him a few minutes every day before you snap at him, or have you learned how to just push that out of your brain?
It's the kind of thing that the first time of the day that I have to hear the coins tapping on the desk, I give him a few minutes before I rip his face off. And then after that, it becomes one of those petulant, brotherly kind of teases that he knows irritates the hell out of me while I'm actually trying to focus. And he's just sitting there with his dirty boots on the desk.
No, that motherfucker. Marcus, do you know this, or do you just carry on charging through? Have you learned the lesson yet?
Oh, I definitely haven't learned the lesson. The key to it is that I watch intently at Johanna's facial expressions. When I see the eye twitch, or I see like a little grimace across the face, I know that I'm pushing in the right place. So I'll do it just a little bit more of a tut, a little bit more of a tap with one of the coins. Maybe even now and then I'll flick a coin over there just to see if it lands in a untidy position, see how she handles that. Or I might even knock something on the floor, like a pen or a bit of paper.
Are you going to stand for that, Johanna?
No. I have a few choice words to say to you. Usually something along the lines of cunt. That's our term of endearment between the two of us. And I'll flick your coin back and it will land nice and neat in front of you, very opposite the way that you flicked it to my desk as I get up huffing and puffing to put your paper and pen back on your desk. The least you could do is to try to keep that gray area between our two desks tidy. I know you struggle with your own personal space, and that's okay in somebody's world, but in this one, I would appreciate if you would just give me one shred of fucking respect today. Thank you.
Well, I mean, if you were able to get us some clients in so we actually had some form of work to do, then I wouldn't be sat here bored out of my fucking mind now, would I? Pissing around with coins and not doing anything with case studies that are 2 years old on my desk, you know. Where's our work?
This is a terribly awkward time for Minnie Foster to arrive, parking her car out in front of the office without I don't know if Marcus or Johanna would know the sound of her car, but in the midst of a fight, I wonder if you'd be able to tell. So you hear the car, you hear the door, and maybe that's business. And the door opens and fuck, it's just Minnie.
Just Minnie with a pile of papers and a stack of manila folders and a camera around my neck, just as I always do. And I walk in and I take a look around, and you can cut the tension like a knife, but that's nothing new. And I just pause as their heads snap to look at me, and I say, sorry, am I interrupting?
Please tell me you bought something for us to do. I am bored out of my mind.
No.
No, I mean, and I'll take out the different folders that I have and open them up, and I'll toss them on Marcus's desk, and I just say, it's the same thing I've been working on for the last couple days. You know, Mrs. Morgan asked me to tail her husband and see if he was cheating on her with his secretary.
Let me guess, he was?
No, surprisingly. But the intern, well, and I'll open up one of the folders, and there's just a pile of photos of him and a young brunette in various states of undress.
God, she's showing ankle. That's outrageous.
Oh my god. I forget that you're old. And
Well,
I'll just close the folder.
I'm going to
But
do my best to stifle a chuckle at the "you're old" comment.
But on the bright side, money is money, and we will get a final payment before I turn over these photos, so, you know.
At least
That's
somebody's
something.
getting us some sort of money.
Well, at least enough to keep the business afloat for a few more days, maybe a week. You don't have a ton of expenses as private investigators, but rent is rent, and you do need to put food on your various tables. Minnie, do you have a section of the office that's dedicated to you?
Not really. I mean, kind of. So there's this little chair in the corner. It's a little, it's old leather. The upholstery is definitely not holding up as time has gone on. I have begged and pleaded for a new one, but obviously there isn't much in this office that's really new. And surrounding that is just all of the boxes and different photos that I've taken and things like that. There is a closet that I was given access to. I kind of use it as like a little dark room, but that's about as close as like a space that I get. On the bright side, it's in a completely different room, and it kind of muffles the sound of Johanna and Marcus fighting. So it's kind of a win-win for me.
You get your own room?
Yeah, I have to.
Fun.
It's a dark room.
Oh, that's what you told Marcus anyway.
Well, okay. Look, if he never goes in it, so he doesn't know if I'm lying.
Mm-hmm.
Completely doesn't interest me at all.
Well, awkward times abound in the silence, minus some choice swearing and the incessant clicking of coins. The hours will pass by. We're in the autumn in Los Angeles, so it's not sweltering, but it's still more heat than you might be accustomed to if you live in England, per se. Oh, no, not right now. You know exactly what it feels like. But time enough will pass, and there is another sound at the door. The little jingle of the bell. Marcus, Johanna, your eyes shooting up to find a woman. She looks to be in her mid-20s at the latest. She's wearing a one of the very, I forget the name of the fabric, but it's kind of the button-down cardigan over the dress look, wearing fancy but modest heels. You can tell that they are expensive but not flashy. In her hand, she has the small clutch purse, very flappery, not quite a fashion that's made it all the way to Los Angeles yet, so she's a little avant-garde if you have your ears tuned to that world, with hair that is long, straight, and black, coming down to just past her shoulders and kind of spreading off in like a U shape away from her face. She says very quietly, very demurely, I'm sorry, is this the office of Develo and Stüber?
Yes, miss, it is. Please come in, have a seat. And I'll direct her to the clean side of the office where the Shea Lounge is. Mrs. making sure, that she gets to sit in front of the nicer, better smelling side where things are not as distracting and eyesore as people are bringing in, sensitive information and maybe experiencing some emotional times. Something that's more calming. There's a lot of light greens and in the pastel tones on my side of the office. As somebody who works in the psychiatrist side of the world, I like to make sure that people feel comfortable, except for Marcus, because he doesn't make his own self comfortable, so that's not my concern.
You can't help those who won't help themselves.
I would find that as soon as a different person knocks on the door, I almost fall out of my chair with surprise, holding a cup of tea in my hand, and it sort of spills down the front of my shirt. I know full well that Johanna is the face of this business, so no matter what condition I look in, she's the best person to speak to them. So as this woman walks in and Johanna greets them, I'm sort of hiding behind the stack of files that I have, trying to pat down the tea that I've spilled down myself with one of the folders. I've just picked one up and I'm just sort of trying to pat it down, just trying to neaten my desk up so it looks at least a little bit respectable, because I know that if I don't do that, Johanna is going to severely judge and bollock me once this person leaves.
Oh, for sure. Minnie, does the noise attract your attention, or are you busy dipping something in chemicals?
No, I'm making sure that Marcus isn't reaching for any of Mrs. Morgan's photos, because if we want to get paid, he needs to not destroy those. So I'll be trying to collect all of my stuff and turn, and I will give a little bit of like a hello to the woman, but I'm trying to keep all of my important stuff out of Marcus's fingers, which are probably also greasy.
This calls to mind to me a very Chippendales Rescue Rangers kind of scene where Johanna as Gadget is doing the professional business, and then in the back the two clowns are just, there's paper and clouds flying everywhere.
I do not like the insinuation that I am a clown. Thank you. Marcus, sure, but
I fully accept that.
I'm literally the only person bringing in money right now, so I don't know if I appreciate being called a clown.
Well, for her part, Virginia Morgan, as she will introduce herself, does not seem to mind. In fact, she feels...
Not my Mrs. Morgan, right?
No.
Different? Oh, gosh.
No.
Wow.
I can't change it. That's written in the scenario. When you said Morgan, I was like, well, I guess we're just fucked on that front. No, she's from the New Hampshire Morgans.
Oh,
not
the New
Virginia
Hampshire Morgans. Okay, great. Okay, great. Whoops. Virginia
Morgan, no relation, has taken a seat opposite the desk from Johanna. She looks, as a psychiatrist, you can tell pretty much immediately, she looks very, very nervous that she doesn't feel like she belongs here, whether that is this office or this city. This is obviously her first time in a place like this doing this kind of work. So her eyes are darting around. She doesn't very often look at you. Most of the time, just down into her purse as she's sitting there. And she begins to explain that she is the cousin of Laura Angel, who all of you will instantly realize is a very famous actress, just put out a film as the star, huge rave reviews, currently working on a super exciting project that will come out soon. She is the brand new ingenue darling of Hollywood. Virginia says that is her cousin. And several days ago, she went missing. That Virginia came into town from Missouri. That's Laura's hometown, or home state. And she was supposed to meet with her cousin and spend time leading up to the premiere and have the whole Hollywood experience. But Laura never showed. And that's all the information that she gives at first. Again, she doesn't know how the private investigator thing works. So she doesn't know, like, is this where I give you money? Do you ask me questions? She gives the details out and then just kind of stops, waiting, Johanna, for you to tell her what should be happening next, or at least cue her in.
I'll pick my head up after frivolously taking notes of everything that she has said, and I'll take note of her nervousness and offer her some tea, not the plain black kind, but just some lightly sweetened with honey chamomile tea to bring down her nerves a little. And I want to ask her for any more information about, like, if she knew where Laura was meant to be before missing her. And I'm going to say, we don't need the payment right now. I just need to gather some information before. And then my colleagues will join us eventually.
Well, the story as Virginia tells it is that she took a train from Missouri to Los Angeles, and then from the train was supposed to get in a cab and go to Laura's apartment. It was very awkward as she digresses and says that Laura was supposed to pay for it because she has all the money. So then the cabbie got really, really angry when they got there and there was no one to pay and there was a big fight about it. But that is a bit the extent of what she knows in terms of the missing persons case. After she missed this initial meeting, Virginia went and got a room in a nearby hotel. She'll mention the name, and it's one you know of. It's not fancy, but it's not a rat hole. She waited a few days because, who knows, busy starlet, maybe whatever, she's just busy. But on the third day, she decided that it was probably time to look into something nasty having happened.
And today is the third day, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm sorry, and I'll pipe up, having gathered all of my stuff and moved it over to my chair. Why come to us? Why not go to the police directly and get their help? I mean, if Laura's very, very well known, I mean, that's a big reason to get the police involved.
Oh, no. Laura would never forgive me if I went to the police and it turned into a scandal. I mean, what if she's just a normal missing? What if she's just out in the hills with somebody and everything is fine? And if the police got involved, it could ruin her career. No, I would never. And that is true of the time. In the star era, most actors were under contract with their studio, and you had to live the life they wanted you to lead. You had to date the people they wanted you to date. And any kind of impropriety or scandal, anything to break the image the studio had created you, that contract torn up and you were no longer an actor. Go back to Jersey.
Great.
Marcus?
Yes?
Do you mind presenting yourself? I don't know, throw this jacket on.
Yes, I'll throw the jacket on that I have on the back of my chair and sort of button up. You can still see there's a little bit of a tea stain just sort of poking through the shirt a little bit, but I just try to move my tie around to sort of block it a bit. And no matter what I do, I look awkward, and I'll just sort of walk over and will offer a hand of greeting to her. Hello there. Yes, my name is Marcus. You say that Miss Angel is missing?
Yes, it's delightful to meet you, Marcus. I'm Virginia. She holds up her hand in the way that says you can shake it, but I'm a lady, so I can't reach all the way out to you.
Yeah. I will step in, shake, step away, just give space, and to make sure that I don't cross the threshold into Johanna's place too much, because she doesn't like it.
I'm terribly sorry that I can't provide you with too much more information, but I mean, I haven't told anybody else. I haven't looked around because, as I said, I don't want to cause a scene. But you're investigators, right? You could figure it out.
We could indeed. Do you happen to know if there was anything that she was currently working on, any films or anything like that, anywhere that she would have been prior to the time of coming to meet you?
Oh my Laura, she could not stop talking about her movie. And as she starts to speak, you feel like she is so starstruck and proud of her cousin. Just like, my cousin is a fucking superhero and she is the greatest, just nothing but like raw. For those of you who've lived in Hollywood for a while, this is what people dream about. And she says, yes, I mean, she would not stop talking about Unbroken. After her last movie did very, very well, and we were all kind of surprised. But then out of nowhere, the big director, Alexander Zaharov, he saw her and reached out personally. And I mean, of course, it's been in all the papers. Everyone knows. That's what Laura says. And her co-star, I don't remember his name. Anyway, they were having such a great time recording and to work for Mintz Brothers. That is just, she's babbling at this point. But the important pieces of information to pull out would be that she's working for Alexander Zakharov. That is a name that I don't know if any of you would know, but we can kind of get to later. In a picture commissioned by Mintz Brothers Studios, which for the purposes of this fiction is like Warner Brothers, right? Big, big deal studio. And that it is due to come out fairly soon. You are in the beginning of October. It's around the 1st. And this film is set to debut 2 or 3 weeks from now. I think 3 weeks, like the 20th or something like that. If you have familiarity with the film industry, you would know that they're done with principal photography. They're now into editing and other stuff. So she shouldn't be shooting unless there were some very last minute things that needed done. But of course, all of Virginia's information is quite superficial. You're being fed facts through essentially a 1926 fangirl who is really just excited about her cousin.
Okay. That's all very useful information. Thank you very much. Just looking over to make sure that Johanna's getting it down. I can see that, as per usual, she's on point with her note taking. So I'll just shift back to the woman in question, and I will go. I'll just ask her. Do you happen to know what her agent's name is? Does she have an agent, or is she working on her own?
Oh God, what was the name? And she starts struggling to kind of go through and keep all the information. It was Maury or Moritz? Morris? It was an M name. Yeah, an M and an O. I wish I could remember. She said he was very, very nice, but we didn't talk about him very much.
Okay, it would be good to investigate who her agent is a little bit further, because the agents normally know where the actors and actresses are, so that will help us a little bit. And I'm not really saying that to her, to Virginia. I'm saying that more past her towards Johanna. So, okay. I don't think there's anything else. Sorry, did you get your cup of tea? Would you like one?
Oh no! I can't. I don't have caffeine. Father says it makes women unwomanly.
Okay, right, and that makes me a bit sort of uncomfortable, as I'm sort of outnumbered at the moment. So I will turn around and sort of go back to my desk and not say anything else.
But does this mean? Sorry, you were going to say something, Minnie?
Yeah. Sorry. Do you have her address? I mean, like, I assume you've gone by her place, but I mean that would be information that we should probably have. And I look at Marcus, because I'm like, dude, way to drop the ball, not asking the really obvious questions.
Virginia says, yes, I was supposed to meet her at 63 Palm Court number 12 at the Highview Apartments. She gave me a key. I was afraid to use it if there was no one inside, but am I allowed to give that to you? Is that legal? I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but
I mean, it helps us do our job. It's not illegal to give it to us, because you have a reason to think that something is amiss. And you have our word that we won't do anything untoward in her space. And if we do need to enter it, it will only be to further our investigation.
Oh, okay. Well, so long as I get it back.
Of course.
She reaches into the purse and pulls out. These are big old keys, the kind, it's like the size of a credit card with a bit stuff filed off, and kind of slides it onto the desk in front of Johanna. I mean, then I understand there's also the matter of the retainer. That's how this works?
Yes, the retainer fee. And one more question about the residence. Does
yes.
she live alone? Because I would hate to interrupt anything. Young Hollywood starlets in their personal lives.
Oh no, Laura actually explained it to me that the studio helped her pick out this location because the apartment complex only rents to single women. It prevents problems, in married households, or with mixing of certain kinds of men with vulnerable women.
I'm going to side eye over to Minnie, because that sounds a little sus. Okay. Oh, that's really great. Yes, the retainer fee. Here's just a few pieces of paperwork we need you to fill out before taking your money. That just says that you're asking us to investigate this, that you have given us permission to do these things, go about, getting into people's business. Here's a breakdown of the cost, what we expect now, what we expect in the end, legal disclosures, all of that fun stuff. You just need to sign here, here, and here, put the date, and that'll be it. Thanks.
As you start to go through it, she gets visibly anxious about the idea. Like, no, there's if there's names on paperwork and someone finds out, I'm gonna get Laura in trouble. Like, I came here because I didn't want it to be a big legal affair. And she's starting to kind of scoot back in the chair and say, I mean, are you sure all that's necessary this early? And I mean, what if you go and there's nothing there? This seems like an awful lot for just a small.
Johanna, I think she's right. I think we can hold off on the paperwork until we're sure that something's wrong and that she isn't just off doing studio work, right?
I'll do that. Like, this really triggers my OCD about how organized things are, kind of like itch to the side of my head, like through gritted teeth, like, okay, yeah, Minnie's right. Okay. And I'll just like gather up my forms and pull them back and just like
there is relief in her eyes, and then that allows her to continue directly over to she opens up her small purse and she says, I don't know how much these things normally cost, but would $500 be enough to retain your services? And in 1928, like a good union wage was like $38 a week. So
as she says $500, like my eyes go wide and I kind of like start coughing a little bit because, oh my God, we haven't seen that much money in a while, at least not from one job. And I'll hold up my hand and I'll apologize. And I'll just like give like a look to Johanna as I like rest my hand on the desk, like, oh my God. Just like quietly mouth the words.
You hear a loud thump as Marcus has fallen out of his chair at the mention of that much money. I quickly stand up, pick my chair up, and sit back down.
Is your friend okay? This is why I don't drink tea.
Oh, yeah, he does that from time to time.
It's an inner ear problem.
Yeah. I can't remember what the doctor called it. Something to do with it starts with a V. I don't know. Anyways, $500 is perfect. That's just right in our range. Usually we're a little more expensive, but since this is such a high profile case and you want to keep names and things out, we'll give it to you, right here at this amount. Do you have a number we could reach you at, a way to communicate with you when we need to touch base?
She will tell you the name of the motel that she's staying at. I don't have it exactly in front of me, but it has a name that's, just like Sunset, Starlight, one of those kinds of motels. At this point in American history, the rooms would not have individual numbers. You would call the desk and they would have to go up and bring somebody down. But aside from that, yeah, she tells you where it is. And having been in the area for quite a while, it's not that far away from where you are. That said, if you have other questions for her, I can answer them, or Miss Virginia Morgan will depart, and we can let you get started on your investigation proper. Is there anything else that you want to know from her right now?
I do not believe so, no. I'll escort her politely to the door and turn around, and after I shut the door and she leaves, I'm gonna like slink back down against the door and be like, $500?
As Johanna like escorts Ms. Morgan out of the room, I'm like, I pick up the wad of cash and I'm just like flipping through all of the bills, like kind of like fanning them and like just like waving my face with them. I'm just like, oh, the smell of $500. Like I have not. This is amazing.
1920. So I think the term is you can cause it to precipitate.
Cause it to precipitate. Perfect. Yeah. That was great. But I don't, because I know that chances are Marcus would absolutely cause problems, spill something on it. It would just be bad.
I just sort of reach over and take it out of your hands. Like, this is an awful lot of money for us to have. We need to put it in our deposit box, ready to go to the bank. Where is it?
No, but I just want to smell it just a little bit longer.
But where's the box? And I start moving things around my desk to try and find out where the box is. And then I realise that it's over on Johanna's desk, because Johanna is better at the money keeping side of things. So I walk over to her desk. I look at her just to see her on the floor in a heap, and I'm like, I'll just place the money on top of the box and I'll just sort of walk away. Right, so what do we think our first port of call is then? We've got the address of the place where Laura was apparently staying. We've got other information as to the film that she was working on. We could also go find out who her agent is. Do we know anybody that could give us that sort of information?
Well, yes. You know who we need, Marcus, right? You do.
I really don't want to say the name.
Well, he does have the
Who?
set of skills that we need.
Who? And I'll just look between the two of them.
Callum.
Not Callum, please. Not after the last time.
I know he's a tad bit insufferable, but
A tad?
we work in an office with Marcus, and he keeps his room the side of the room like a horse pen. Like, how much worse could Callum? $500, Minnie.
Yes, and we have to pay part of that out to Cal. Why do we have to?
Could we all just agree before we go to see him that we don't mention that we've been paid $500?
I thought that was a given.
Lower the amount by a significant amount?
Yeah, what is our typical retainer fee anyways? What are we at, $100 now?
You're like police who found drugs. Oh yes, we found 500 kilos of cocaine at the scene. All 400 were taken to the evidence locker, where 300 will be able to make it to trial.
I suppose
Fine.
if okay, it's been a little while since we've seen him. Hopefully he's cheered up a bit since the last time we had to ask him for help.
Bring him some of that delightful tea you drink every day, and I'm sure it'll put a smile right on his face.
You know what? That's not actually a bad idea, and I'm going to go start filling up a flask.
He said last time he likes the ones with bergamot.
I do not believe that in the 1920s the Minnie has any idea what bergamot is, or that it even exists.
No, but that's what Callum said. He said I like the ones with bergamot, and it meant nothing to me. But I just
the fuck's a burger knot?
Yeah, I have no clue. Literally no idea.
Well, across the city, Callum, your ears burning. You are a scientist by trade at a university, at a laboratory. Where will this little group of perfidious investigators lying about the amount of money you make, where would they find you today?
So if you look at the school, it doesn't look like much. It's very obviously a small university, but it is incredibly well kept. Everything looks totally updated. It is perfectly manicured lawns, really sort of standing out from the area that surrounds it. It used to be very much like a sort of lowbrow place. Like you would send your kids there if they had nowhere else to go. But over the last 10 years, it has gained incredible notoriety in the film business because, and this is one of the reasons that Callum is so insufferable, his department is the one that developed the chemical that goes onto films that keep them fresh in the canisters. So every single film that is developed has their stuff on it, and that has brought in an enormous amount of money to the university. And as they approach the door, you'll hear a very heated argument happening in the lab. You definitely hear Callum's voice just saying, "You listen here, you goddamn bastard. I bring in so much fucking money into this place. You could drown in it. You could drown in it, you goddamn mug. So why don't you go off and just bury your face in a co-ed like you do every other Tuesday and leave me the hell alone to do my goddamn work." How about that?
I'd like that there's another associate who's like, "Well, I've never," and bursts out of the door to find the three of you just standing in a semicircle around it, or like Three Stooges' ears against the door.
Well, if it isn't Tweedledum, Tweedledummer, and the big fat idiot with the terrible teeth.
Hi, Callum.
Yeah.
Nice
Callum.
to see you too.
I see you're in an absolutely spiffing mood as usual.
Listen, it's been a good week. We got a huge movie coming out, which means we got a huge order getting filled. So, what do you want?
Right.
Oh, just the same thing that we always want. A favor.
You know, the last time I did you a favor, it cost me about $3,000 in damaged property.
That
So,
was a one-time thing.
The time
We
before
don't-
that, it was only $1,500. So yes, I suppose it was a one-time thing. At
Look,
that
we don't let Marcus drive the cars anymore. Okay, I don't know what we do what we can.
I'm the
Callum.
designated driver.
There's just like a blankness as soon as you mention Marcus and the car on his face, like he's trying to hold back the rage. Just okay, all right. I've been doing this whole meditating thing. They've been telling me about this over at the studio. It's something that all the actors are doing. It comes from somewhere, like across the ocean. So I'm gonna do that. All right. Why don't you explain why you are in my lab and what you're doing?
Well, I'm gonna shuffle us in to the office and pull the door shut.
At the risk of having you just narrate again what just happened, we can say that you catch Callum up on events. If there are certain details you want to lie about, then fine, but there's no need to rehash everything.
Nope. Just gonna let him know that Laura Angel is missing.
Oh. Really? That's why you came. No, I see. You bunch of stooges just had no other connections because everybody in this town hates you.
Okay, well, I mean, I would like to say that people don't know me to hate me yet. So if you could just not, their names are on the door. I'm just the photographer. It's fine. It's fine. But you know, yes, obviously, you have great connections. But also it's your expertise, and your know-how and your pull in the community. We knew as soon as she left, we all turned to each other and we said, you know, we really need to get Callum here. I think that he's the right guy for the job.
Yeah.
You're a terrible liar. You know that? I know what you said, and I know which one of you said it.
I'm just gonna smirk.
Look, is this going to be like the last time? Do we need to go downstairs, or is this just going to be an information call?
Yes.
Your vagary is not appreciated.
Well, I would like it to just be an information call, but if you're offering us to go downstairs, I would also like to take up on that as well. It's been a long week. If you had to work with Marcus next to you all week, you'd need an extra bit in your tea as well.
No, I understand.
Bad.
I understand.
Just gonna shoot you a smirky glance, Marcus.
He looks over at Marcus, and you definitely see that look that you've seen before, which is there is some sort of major consternation there, but there's also this sort of electricity between them. It's just, fine. Look, if it's going to be like last time, I'm going to need to get paid up front. What's your retainer?
$100?
$100.
Yeah.
Someone came in to spout an angel's name, and they only handed you $100.
Yeah.
That's our normal retainer fee. We may get more at the end, but we right now she wants to keep it kind of on the down low, so we don't actually know what we're getting ourselves into, so we haven't really been able to quote her an amount yet.
And she's a poor sweet girl from the Midwest, Callum. Lighten up on her a little bit, will you?
She's concerned about her cousin.
What kind of shoes was she wearing?
Sensible heels.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking the one that actually knows.
Sorry.
Me?
Yeah, she
The organized one.
She was dressed modestly, but decently so. I mean, her shoes could have been nicer, but she comes from the Midwest.
Okay.
She was a very sweet girl. Very, very sweet. Virginia is her name.
Look, if we're going to go downstairs, it's going to cost you that $100.
The whole $100?
The whole $100. You know I don't get out of bed for less than $100.
Then what do we get out of it? That's our entire fee.
You get downstairs.
I was to say that in addition to the skills that Callum has as a technician and a scientist, he encyclopedic knowledge of Hollywood and a lot of names. You were asking earlier, well, how are we going to find out who Maury or whoever it is? Well, that's what $100 gets you.
Knowing that the price made Minnie and Marcus both choke when he said it was going to cost the whole $100, I'm going to give him this pleading glance, guys, we really need this, kind of
I mean, okay, we'll have to bite the bullet and hopefully she gives us... Oh, yes. Yes,
Okay, okay. I will agree to it, but Callum, you have to be nicer.
That's going to cost you $150.
Yeah, well, we'll work that out later, but you have to be nicer.
I bought tea, if that helps.
Here. I get 7 insults a day.
Per person or total? Total? Across the three of us.
Unless there is a mitigating incident, i.e. a car crash, a building falling down, something like that.
Okay,
Why have you got to bring up a car
acceptable.
crash?
That's acceptable. Yes. Okay, agreed.
Look, I crashed the car once into the side of a restaurant and half the building came down. Can we just not keep bringing it up? I've taken extra driving lessons. I'm actually quite good at it now. It's difficult driving on the wrong side of the road.
So
he makes a valid point.
You broke the restaurant that my cousin owns, all right? And I had to pay for it. You did it while I was having dinner at that restaurant, and you ruined my meal.
Food wasn't even that good. Come on, let's go downstairs.
Oh my God, I am gonna get Vinny. I am gonna get Vinny, and you're never gonna eat pasta in this town again.
There are now people poking their heads up from their lunch downstairs or leaning out the window of the office as this cavalcade proceeds down into the...
If you fucking idiots don't get out of my goddamn lab window right now, you all get Fs.
Like the idea of Marcus, you solve 100 cases. Do they call me Marcus the case solver? No. but
You
fuck
crashed
one
one
sheep.
car.
Always hone in on that one crash, just because I just forgot what side of the road I needed to be on when I made that turn.
So let's
It's not my fault. It was the restaurant was on the corner of the road.
So let's say I'm certain this argument continues for all the spare moments of the conversation as you return. I'm assuming to the office where to your office.
Oh, not yet. I gotta show them downstairs.
Oh, I thought that was my mistake. I thought downstairs was the parking lot was.
Oh no. All right, I'll take 100 now. I'll take 50 at the end. And you get downstairs and 7 insults a day. Deal?
Fine. Deal.
Accepted.
I'll hold out my hand and I'll be there to shake it.
Oh, I will give it a good strong shake.
Mm-hmm.
Put the money on the table.
I'm gonna say that starting now, on the overlay, we're gonna put an insult tracker on Callum's frame.
We are. I'm absolutely
bing,
taking notes.
bing,
And we're gonna
bing.
hold you to this.
Starting now. So
Yeah.
so what is downstairs now? I actually want to know. I have no idea.
So I look over at, I just say, listen, you big galoot, go stand guard like you normally do. Ladies, come with me. And I'm going to lead them over to the side of the lab. There is this very large cabinet that holds all kinds of like flasks and beakers and Bunsen burners, things like that, just equipment for the lab. Are we clear?
Seems that way, yes.
Okay, I'm going to need a definite.
Yes, we're clear.
All right. And there is a sign that says laboratory. Use the first 5 letters, not the last 7, because it's a student classroom. And one of the O's, I press the O, and the whole cabinet begins to shift sideways. And you see a door behind it. And we start heading down the door into the basement that nobody knows exists. Down there, it's a little dark, it's a little dank, but you find his true lab. This is where he has been developing different types of firearms. This is where he has been developing all kinds of different, very efficient stills. And
Worried for a moment. I figured it was either speakeasy or people in cages. I did not anticipate Q Lab.
Yeah.
This is what you get when you go downstairs. This is why he knows all the different PIs in this city. All right. You look around and everything is labeled and accounted for. And you see like 1 or 2 other people down there, like sort of grabbing a barrel or a couple of jugs and leaving through, there's like 2 other tunnels that lead out into the city. Touch anything, cut your goddamn hands off. What kind of thing are we doing?
Well, at this point, there are some details that I want to get out that I think Callum would know for sure. Laura Angel moved to Los Angeles from Hannibal, Missouri. As best as anyone knows, she's an only child. You would have read that in one of the articles where, brand new star. She has made reference in the past to the person who discovered her best friend, not her agent. It didn't really work that way back then. Studios had casting agents who would go around town and find people to bring them back to the studio, but that is a man named Morris Harrison, who has been working for Mintz Brothers forever. Like, he was there when it started and has continued. He's one of their bigger guys. For about the first 4 months that she was there, she just played bit parts in various films, like the waitress with 4 lines. But in February of 1926, she won an important supporting role. That was my mistake, not the lead, but the supporting role in a film called The End of Love, written by and directed by Miles Desmond. That's another studio name at Mintz Brothers at this point in history. Like all the actors, all the directors, they were locked into one place. You didn't get to float around. That movie did exceptionally well. She got huge accolades. That is when she was offered the lead role in Unbroken, which is by Alexander Zakharov. Callum, as a film buff, you would recognize that Alexander Zakharov he's an auteur. He's a bit of a weirdo. He's got Kubrick vibes. But more importantly, he is a Russian immigrant who fled the revolution. He was doing what you would now consider pre-Soviet royalist experimental film and brought those talents here, but he is notorious for closed set, no one talking, like having the actors wait for hours before shooting starts to get their feeling frustrated so it all comes out. One of those kinds of directors. And then this movie should be coming out, like I said, sometime soon.
No. As I'm sort of showing them around, sort of seeing what's going on, I'll just be sort of chatting about, look, so she's a lovely lady. She she came from the Midwest, no biggie. A lot of them do. They're good and corn-fed. There's that director. He's crazy. Normally, when they need stuff, I bring a box of film, set it down, do the thing, have a little tea, have a little chat, talk to them, get to know the PAs, like all of that good stuff. This one literally had to drop it, like at the door, was not allowed on set, which is insulting, by the way. I wish he was more like the last one. He was very nice.
Yeah, what do we know about Miles Desmond, or what does Callum know about Miles Desmond?
There's nothing especially strange or exciting about him. The normal amount of if you had a random numbered table, like a Dungeons and Dragons make a director table, he would have the normal amount of like scandalous rumor, but he puts out like solid, not B movies, but like just like B plus on a grading scale films. They're not gonna win tons of awards, but they put butts in seats. He's reliable, competent. Mostly he's held back by the fact that he does all of his own writing. And if he could give up some of that to an editor at the very least, or let someone else write the scripts, they'd probably be a little better. But he's an ordinary director in that way.
And his pillow talk sucks.
Well, honestly, I think the thing that you'll find is that we don't actually know what we're kind of getting ourselves into. All that we gave you. She's disappeared. Nobody, like her cousin hasn't seen her. It's been a few days, and she didn't want to go to the cops because she wanted to keep it on the down low. So, no big scandals in the studios, of course. So we have her address. We have a key to get into her place. But that's pretty much it. We're kind of going in blind here.
Okay, I think I might be able to help you out. If he came from Russia, he's gonna have some ties. And I can call Vinny. We can see if he's got any of the, any old school, old country friends around.
I'll just like nervously glance at Johanna.
I believe Callum's referring to other exiled whites, whites as in like whites versus reds in Russia, but like czarists who have fled the country, and they have all stuck together in a very maybe one day we'll be able to restore the empire kind of way. I do not think he's referring to Eastern promises, stars on knees, that kind of thing. I don't think that's happened yet, to be honest.
No. There's there is but many, when they came over, didn't really have a lot of income. And some of them turn to crime, and some of them form some families. And, Vinny is a family man. He takes care of family, and the families know each other.
I understand now why driving into the restaurant was a really bad idea.
Really bad. Yeah. Do you want me to make a phone call to Vinny?
Yeah, that might be slightly helpful. And any information that you might have on Morris Harrison would also be helpful.
Morris.
Yeah, that's her agent. That's Laura's agent, but her cousin said that she raved
Morris.
kind of about him.
Morris. Yeah. I think I've seen him around the restaurant sometimes. He's the one, he's the one that's balding and just refuses to admit it to the world, like that terrible comb over he's got.
I've never crossed paths with him, Callum. You would be more so to know than I.
Yeah, no. He seems nice. Haven't really talked to him a whole lot. Drinks, if I remember correctly, Aperol, I think.
He looks
All
like
right.
an Aperol spritz kind of man. Is there anything else that Callum would have heard, Aaron?
I don't want to just narrate at you. So if you have questions or things that come up, I'll be happy to say, yeah, you probably have heard this, or I mean, and not just Callum, because
Right.
you're all kind of in Hollywood. But I don't want to spend most of the scenario just giving you a history of Hollywood for a while.
Fair.
I think at this point you have a few areas to go. We know that Callum is going to try to look into Mr. Zaharev and kind of just see what's what in that area. You have the key to Laura's apartment, which is probably a great place to start. You know about Morris Harrison. You know generally about Mintz Brothers. If you wanted to go and maybe poke around to see if they had anything going on. And underneath the umbrella of Mintz Brothers, like Miles Desmond would be the person there, or if you can find Morris Harrison, they all might have something to get at. Being an investigative game, there are no like Call of Cthulhu role library use. Oops, you failed. Sorry, no clues ever for you. So we're kind of coming up on our halfway break. How about we use that time to go use the bathroom, fill up drinks. We can talk a little bit about what plans you are and what skills you're trying to maybe rub on some things. And then when we come back from the break, we'll jump off from there and see what those investigations turn up. Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Sounds great.
All righty. Well, those of you in the audience also make sure to hydrate. If I don't tell you that, Scarlet punches me. Else, use the bathroom, grab some food, stand up, but be back in 10 minutes while we continue with The Dream Factory. Welcome back, friends, to The Dream Factory, a Trail of Cthulhu scenario brought to you by Queen's Court Games. We have spent the break plotting, planning, scheming, getting all of our little GM and player ducks in the row. I hope you are stretched and hydrated and ready for more game. When we left the party, they were down in the basement of Callum's second laboratory, where there are alcohol, firearms, secrets abound. Callum had shared the details, so far as he understands them, about Laura Angel's career, the people that she is tied to, giving you a few investigative leads. Now, you still have the key to Laura Angel's apartment. We have discussed that she lives in a females-only residence. At this period in time, that's pretty common. Women wanted to get on their own, but not that out on their own. It was still considered improper to live around single men. So these kind of places existed in most major cities. Most of them would also have curfews from 8 a.m. to like 8 p.m. where men weren't allowed in. So you decided that it would be a good idea for you to head there alone. Callum, against his better judgment, has agreed to travel by car with Marcus to go see a friend of a friend and see if they can track down some information about Alexander Zaharev or any of the other Mintz Brothers hangers-on. Does that sound like a fair recap?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Sounds good
Look
to
at
me.
you taking good notes.
It's difficult for me because, and I think other GMs will sympathize with this, is it's hard to keep track of what the characters know and also the entire scenario over here. So especially when there's a scene that might have like 4 or 5 clues and you only got like 3 or 4 of them, and it's like, okay, well, they don't know this, and it becomes a bit of a mess. But so far, so good. We left with Callum explaining the various firearm related arms and accessories that were available. Why don't we start there before we split the party up? Sorry, go ahead.
So I got a couple things, because last time the things I gave you, they were a little bulky for trying to sneak around, you know? And he starts showing off like a whole series of smaller handguns that he's created. Now, most of these only hold like 2 shots at most, and he shows them, and there are these beautiful, like, he creates gorgeous guns, just filigreed, beautiful items. He's like, look, but they're tiny, and literally, like, he's created some that are specifically made to like be hidden in like cleavage, or like in the curve of your calf, or like right against your armpit, or things like that, so they won't show up in tight clothing. And he just sort of looks and it's like, there's a couple that are fine. Then you got this one, and he shows off one. It's only got the 1 bullet. But that bullet is very interesting. I've developed a little sort of explosive agent using a little bit of phosphorus, things like that, where what'll happen is if you shoot them outright, it'll do damage. But then if you try to save them, when the bullet gets exposed to air, the phosphorus ignites and there's a second explosion. So, pick which ones you want.
What do you think, friends? The side boob snub nose or the Willy Peter?
I like the Willy Peter.
I don't like either of those. I mean, and I'll pull out my little pistol, and I'm like, I mean, this is fine for me. But I mean, Johanna, I don't know. She needs something.
It's not necessarily a need, more of a want. Johanna, she doesn't wear like the typical dress style. She's more of a slacks and jacket kind of gal, very much out of the norm for what you would see a woman wearing. So a little more of concealing room, something a little bigger, more masculine, just fits right in her style. None of that little tuck it in your titty kind of thing, because it's just not really her jam.
Okay, fine. We got plenty. And it starts showing off a whole bunch of different kinds. And he finds one that has like this. What color is your hair?
Brownish, dirty blonde.
Okay, so if it's dirty blonde, he finds one that actually has like an electrum filigree that matches your hair color, and is a solid revolver. Like he's like, this one, it packs a punch. So make sure that you're not, that you're expecting this to go off. All right. But it matches your hair. I think that's pretty.
I'm gonna smirk, pick it up, spin the barrel, lock it in, and open my jacket and tuck it in the empty holster, almost as if I was a little expectant to pick up some toys or gadgets upon visiting the secret places of Callum.
You know what downstairs is when it comes to Callum.
We're not doing phrasing anymore?
We are, and it was terrible. There's
that question is
you see Callum just grab like several of the smaller guns, and you see him tuck them all over the place in him. Like, it's obvious that he does not like the bigger firearms. He likes the smaller ones, the more concealed ones. And there are definitely ones like that have like sharpened edges and things like that at certain areas of them. But he's probably got like 6 or 7 now. Little guns that as soon as he like sort of grabs his shirt and puffs it out a little bit. All of them seem to disappear.
Marcus, if one of the ladies or well, no, probably not Callum. If one of the ladies was going to bring up extra munitions for you, does size matter?
Oh, definitely not. It's 100% about how you use it. It's definitely not about the size of it.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming Minnie or Johanna knows that about you and would be able to select the appropriate armament, right?
I assume that Joanna actually knows, and she would purposefully pick the smallest, most ridiculous one on purpose.
Yes, I would actually. Since we served in the military together, that is something that I would know. And I also do have a Union Jack flask that I will pull from my jacket pocket and ask for Callum to fill it up with the best thing that he has recently concocted to make sure I take it up to Marcus with his tiny little booby blaster that I picked for him.
He runs over to, oh, I got one just for you. Okay. No, I've been developing this for a while. It's really neat. And he runs over to a large cask and he uncorks it, and you see a clear liquid pour into a very nice glass. Like, he's got a whole cabinet down here that is just all of this gorgeous glassware. He runs over, fills it up, and he's like, first smell it. And you smell this gorgeous floral gin that is just incredible. He's like, now I want you to lick your finger, and I just want you to swirl it around in there a little bit.
I'm gonna smirk knowing that this full well isn't for me, but I'm not telling Callum that because he wouldn't share the good stuff with Marcus. And I'm gonna get the sloppiest finger lick that I possibly can, the kind where there's just like a little bit of bubbles in the spittle on my finger, and I'm gonna make sure that like trails across the inside of the drink.
Absolutely. And as you do that, the clear liquid starts turning purple. It's like, I made it so you'd know if somebody else had been sipping your drink.
Yeah, that's perfect. Let me pour another one.
And he'll just take it over to the cask and fill up your flask. Take to the cask, fill up the flask. There you go. There it is.
The effort you put into being like, I'm going to get my friend a drink. I'm also going to spit in it is the nicest, most horrible thing anyone has ever done.
Absolutely.
Didn't spit in it. I was just testing. He said lick my finger. I licked my finger.
Well, fingers licked, armory established, booze stocked up. We can return now to the matter of Laura Angel. Minnie, you have a vehicle. We've established that canonically. I'm sure Johanna has your own. Marcus, you would also have a car, which means you can split up as you like to go on your various adventures. Minnie, Johanna, you were going to head over to the apartment, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
I think it makes sense for the ladies to go to the women's only apartment. These two, well, I mean, aside from the fact that I'd like a break, it's also, just it makes sense that them being around might be a little weird or put somebody off. So, yeah.
And then the gentleman heading off to meet the guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah.
His restaurant's fixed now, right? Yes, they managed to get the front window back in fine now. It's all good.
It's real pretty now. It's real pretty.
That's
fixed
good.
it up real nice.
Oh, good. And he's forgiven me?
You listen here. You. No.
Right. Okay. At least I know what I'm walking into.
And then on we drive. Ladies, if you do not mind, I will start with you. We will cover the small trek across town to the Highview Apartments. Now, I know a lot of people have an image of Los Angeles, an image of Hollywood in their head. The town is not that dense now. Having 2- and 3-story buildings, that's about the most of it. And they are actually not fairly frequent. So when you arrive at 63 Palm Court and see a multi-story Art Deco with a Mediterranean edge on it, so the walls are plaster instead of something fancier, but the windows have that same shape of Art Deco to them. There's angular decoration in the trim around the tops of the buildings and such. It's quite new, and the place that you would recognize as quite expensive. It is unlikely that either of you would be able to afford this place unless you made drastic cutbacks in other parts of your lifestyle. There is no parking lot. It is street parking only. The building itself is U-shaped, so there are 2 wings of apartments on 3 stories, and then there's a third wing in the back. The center has a long central courtyard with young but still tall enough to provide shade palm trees. Approaching the gate, it is unlocked, but you see the sign that talks about the rules for visitation, who may come and who may not. There is nobody milling about the place. There's no one at the gate, anything like that. You can proceed in without causing too much of a ruckus.
Great. On to number 12 then. Anybody, like, just out of curiosity, anybody watching us as we come in?
In the creepy sense, or in the who are these people sense?
First one, then the other?
All right. Well, for the first one, I will have to ask you to roll to sense trouble.
Okay.
Now, in Trail of Cthulhu, the players all have a number of general abilities, which they have a skill pool for, usually between 0 and 8. They can spend those points out of that pool to give themselves bonuses on their die roll. Every roll is a d6. The standard difficulty for things is 3, but it can get exciting as the game gets more and more complicated. So in this case, Minnie, are you going to spend any points so I can continue explaining?
Yes, I will spend one of my sense trouble points.
Okay, so she spends that 1 point, and now she will take 1d6 plus 1. If the result is equal to or greater than 3, we're in good shape.
Well,
That
that's a
appears to be a
7. Yeah,
7.
so 6 plus 1, so 7.
So with that, you can tell that this is a gossipy little place. There's nobody sitting on the front porch watching, but when 2 new people kind of walk in, you see the curtains open up a little bit, or someone who's doing the dishes in the kitchen might turn their head over and kind of see who the new people are. If they do that for you, I will say that they're doing that for you. They would almost certainly be doing that for everybody else. It's very like Wisteria Lane, Neighborhood Watch, Homeowners Association, who is getting up to what vibe in this apartment building or apartment complex.
Okay. I mean,
That said-
that's good to know.
That said, nothing menacing about it. Like, there's no one who's looking at you through the lens of a sniper rifle. There's no, man with a thick scar across the street, anything like that.
Jeez, that would be a really, really fast dive into the story. No, I mean, but that's good to know. And I'll point that out to Johanna, and I'll just quietly whisper and just say, yeah, if something happened, there's a at the apartment, if somebody was here that shouldn't have been here at any point, it's likely that somebody here saw. So it's good for us.
Of course, a building full of women, all they're going to do is talk. I assume by this point, while we're walking and talking, that we're making it to the door, and as we get there, I'll put the key in. I'll jiggle the door first, assuming it's locked,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll just put the key in, turn the lock, and gently kind of pop it open, peeking in the door first before opening it all the way for us to go in. Like, kind of like as inconspicuously as possible, knowing that the bird brigade around the place is going to be squawking and talking if they see anything look more interesting than people they don't recognize. So like as inconspicuously gently check as I open it to make sure there's nobody standing there before we just pop in.
I mean, well, the best way to avoid attracting attention is to look like you belong here, right? And if you just walk up with confidence and open the door, then people are like, oh, it's just Laura's friends coming to pick up Laura's things. You know how she is, or whatever. I don't know. It sounds like there's a Jewish grandmother who lives here. But in any case, yes, there. Once you open the door, you look around. There's the ordinary amount of attention, but it doesn't appear that anyone is taking any much notice of your movements, aside from, so and so had visitors. Opening up the ground floor apartment, you will immediately get the sense that this is a very tidy affair. Laura is a clean living gal. The apartment consists of a living room. Off the edge of it, there is a bedroom, a small kitchen, and a bathroom. So there's not a ton of space. The living room is maybe 10 feet or 15 feet by 10. I mean, it's not a total square, but you get maybe like 120 square foot a living room. The bathroom, kitchen, and bedroom occupying the same amount of space, but divvied up. The furniture is not exorbitant. It's nice, but it's not ostentatious. The walls are decorated with photos of Laura. They're framed from various parties with her newfound friends. There's a gigantic poster of her last movie that is also framed. As you proceed into the bedroom area, it reflects more of her kind of home personality. There are some stuffed animals on the bed, and the photos are no longer of her Hollywood friends in gowns and tuxes, but of her home, her family, some of her high school friends. All of this being in good order. There's no sign of forced entry. There are no signs of a struggle. The living room, like the chairs in front of the dining room, are all tucked in. There's no sense that anyone has tossed the place. The drawers aren't open. First cursory look through glance, this does not appear to be a crime scene. You honestly might in the future mistake it for like a staged real estate kind of thing. It's that put together.
Which could mean one of two things. One, she's like myself, entirely more organized than probably necessary to function on a day-to-day basis. Or two, somebody from a movie place that's really good at staging things came in and fixed it up. I will say that to Minnie as we, kind of look around and notice how well put together this place is.
Yeah, is there like, I mean, okay, it's only been a few days presumably since she went missing, assuming that she went missing 3 days ago. But I mean, is there like a pattern of dust that we've noticed, or like, is it like, no, like somebody cleaned recently? Is it possible to tell that just from?
Yeah, I don't think it's not a skill in Trail of Cthulhu dust collection, but
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the credit to say that you can, run your finger along the top of the picture, and it does not look like fresh. It's not like someone's cleaned the place over. It's a perfectly ordinary amount of household detritus.
Just because I'm curious about it, is like in her bedroom, obviously, like she's got pictures and she's got things on the wall, she's got clothes and stuff. Like, is this actually a place that she lives, or is it just like the place that they say that she lives?
No, it's quite lived in.
Okay.
Depending on the degree to which you want to rifle through her things, I will give you various amounts of information. So are you just looking around, or are you gonna open up the closet and start,
I would actually open up the closet and kind of start going through her things. Once Johanna says that maybe it's staged, my thought is that perhaps the whole thing is staged, and the photos are just kind of on the wall to, like, oh yes, no, this is definitely her place, but it's like a decoy, So I would like to go through and like see, oh, is this actually her stuff?
No, there are two pieces of information here that I think will fill in the picture for you. Looking into her closet, it is full of stylish new clothing. If you have a sense of fashion, or someone who does, they all look to have been purchased in about the last 6 months. That matches with her receiving her check and the stuff from the last movie that she was in. They aren't the most expensive clothes in Hollywood, but they are more than the average person would be able to afford, and certainly more the word it's not like risque fashion, but it's maybe more adventurous colors and such than other people have would wear on the street. That is a stark contrast to the trunk that is underneath her bed, which contains the plainer clothes that she wore in Missouri. So that would give you the indication that, I mean, yes, this is her home because it has all the things that she brought with her, and they're under the bed and they're tucked away, but they are there. All told, it is a bedroom who belongs to someone who's a little homesick, but also flush with fresh Hollywood success. That's the surface level. If you want to make a deeper dive into any of this, we can start rubbing skills on things, or if you want to ask other questions about this department, I'm happy to do that as well.
While Minnie's kind of like looking around the bedroom, I'll take like a look through the kitchen to kind of see like if there's any food in the refrigerator, if anything has gone sour. I'd imagine somebody who needs to keep into a dress wardrobe and maintain a certain Hollywood appearance, that she's going to have minimal sustenance, but it would be things of like fruits and vegetables that would rot fairly quickly had nobody been here in days. Also would like to look through, the cabinets, just kind of like poke around, see if anything looks out of place, or if it's just a typical young lady's place of residence. Johanna's a very naturally suspicious person. She has been, since coming out of the military. Everybody and everything is most likely always the enemy. So she's just like very much looking to see if anything piques more interest than it should. Random objects in random places, things like that.
Well, so far as food and things like that go, there's nothing here that's spoiled. But the most recent groceries are more than a week, maybe 10 days from purchase. If you're putting together a timeline of Laura disappeared 3 days ago, that it's possible that she just doesn't shop very often. Like, that's a totally rational and okay explanation for that. But if you are suspiciously inclined, it would say she hasn't been here for actually longer than 3 days. The other piece, I was going to ask you kind of generally, assuming, you come back home from work, you head on into the kitchen to get a drink. What do you put down on the counter? It's a question for anybody.
Your purse, your keys, your anything
Yeah,
in your
wallet.
hands.
Whatever you're holding in your hands. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then assuming when you leave again, you take those things with you, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not here. In fact, if you go looking around the entire apartment, you will not see keys, no purse, no pocketbook, nothing. That if Laura owns those things, and you assume she does, you can't find them. They must be with her, or someone else has them.
Okay.
Like maybe she never came home from wherever she was last. Interestingly so.
I think the other thing that would draw your attention, Miss von Stüber, again, this time of day, there are no cordless phones, and the phone is most often in the kitchen or near the living room. That is true for this one, the rotary phone hanging from a wall in the kitchen. Next to it, there is an address book. Cursory flipping through it, it contains handwritten listings for both Missouri and Los Angeles, including many of her new friends, the leading actors and filmmakers at Mintz Brothers. So if you need that, you could take this or copy it down.
I think I'll pick up the book and show it to Minnie and ask her, like, does she think we should copy it or just take the whole thing with us?
I mean, I would copy it. I don't, unless there's something weird in the book as you're going through it, like some handwritten note that's scrawled, I don't know, in blood, right? Like, we don't need the whole thing.
Yeah, there's just like a lot of names and stuff. I don't know really who we would want to know. Maybe the LA folks, more importantly, or is there a way to decipher, like, does it say, Aunt Susan and cousin Bobby Lee in Missouri, such and such, way to connect. And, so and so in LA, like any affiliations, does it list like that? Or is it just simply like John Smith, connection number here, Terry Jones, connection here?
I think you'd be able to tell based on the interchange that you're looking for. If it's an LA number, it would just be 444-7092. But if it's in Missouri, you have to, dial and things like that. Also, if there's addresses listed in it, it might say, like Florence Jones, and you look and it's like, oh yes, there's the address. She lives in at 17 Dust Bowl Lane, Bumblefuck, Missouri. And you'd be able to get that all sorted out.
I was just gonna say, if you wanted to take it instead, I mean, we can return it once we know that we don't need it, if that's the way to go. But
I'm also not going to nickel and dime you on the names where I'm like, oh, did you write down so and so's name? I'm giving you the benefit of that you are competent, and at least insofar as the adventure allows so far, informed. So later on, if you need a number that's in there that would be in there, it's fine. We can say that you have it.
Sure.
Is there any, like Minnie had mentioned, any handwritten notes, anything scrawled aside from her writing the names, like, I don't know, a love interest or something written along the side? Or how when you girls talk on the phone, they twiddle their hair or they walk all around or they just doodle on stuff? Any of that from like a long drawn conversation in her address book? That seems to be the closest thing to the phone. So
nothing that's going to like spark your interest. There's not like what's the line from Mean Girls V that I don't remember?
What? Like, the
like, notes in the book.
Like Jason Newberry is a fugly slut?
Yeah, nothing like that.
So it's not a slam book, is what you're saying.
No burn book, just an address book.
It's not a burn book. I mean, there might be little notes in there, like so and like, how do I know so and so? Oh, starred in blah blah blah, or casting at so and so. Small notes like that, but nothing like stay away from, definitely kidnapped me, nothing like that.
Okay. All right. So once I finish in the kitchen, I'll make my way to the bathroom.
The bathroom is likewise ordinary. There's no pills in the closet or in the medicine cabinet, nothing like that. I don't actually know how long the towel stays wet, but I mean, it can't be more than a day, right? Everything here it's in order. It just looks like someone left for vacation. There's definitely no sign of weirdness here, and everything that you've looked into on her personal life suggests that Laura just is a nice, down-home human being, as she is portrayed.
No makeup bag or anything laying around? None of her stuff like that is there? Like her hairbrush, any of that?
Basic home toiletries, okay. Yes. Sorry, I have absolutely no idea what women keep in their bathrooms. But the basic things that should be at home, hairbrush, did they have curling irons in the 1920s? I have no idea, but those things are there. The things
right.
That would say it's lived in.
This is going to be the one thing that tells me if Laura is a clean girl or if she's not. Is there hair in her hairbrush?
Well, no.
Maybe she is. No hair in the hairbrush. Takes note. So nothing in here like sticks out. It's just a bathroom.
Yeah. And that's kind of the case with the whole place. Honestly, I can tell you up front, like, those are the things there are to find here. That it's normal. There's no sign of foul play. It doesn't look like she was abducted or murdered. It just looks like either, as Johanna said, she didn't come home, or she left somewhere on purpose and then didn't come back.
While Joanna's in the bathroom and poring over the hairbrush, part of me is just telling me, can I go look at the photos, not the ones from Missouri, but the more current ones in the living room?
Sure. What do you want?
I guess, like, is there anybody, like, in particular that's, like, in all of the photos, or, like, is there anybody that I recognize that, like, makes an appearance more often than not?
No.
Okay. Nothing
No.
weird about the photo stands out. No like weird creeper in the
no,
background of every photo.
I'm being 100% honest when I tell
Okay.
you there is nothing else
Nothing
to
else to
find
find.
in this place.
Okay, great. How droll. Great.
Well, I mean, that could be a potentially good thing, right? Or not. No. Yeah, you're right. The face tells me.
I mean, look, if this is a good girl from the Midwest who just likes to, like party and have fun, but like at her core, she is just like a nice down home Midwestern girl. It seems unlikely, given her like connection to her family and her love of all of that, that she would just up and disappear without giving anybody any sort of heads up. I can't assume that Virginia didn't call family members and ask if they'd heard from her. It just seems unlikely based on the couple things that we know about Laura.
Yeah, that's what I was a little curious to see if she had been home. There didn't seem to be any like laundry or food or anything. It looks like she grocery shopped a while ago, and I'm really leaning in the direction that she never came home from the last thing that she was out doing, whether that was intentional, criminal, accidental, whatever it may be. That's the way that I'm kind of leaning. So finding where she was last, I would think maybe we would start with her agent, given they have the movie premiere coming up soon. They're probably doing a lot of promoting and things like that. I think her cousin mentioned, she had been talking about doing all of that stuff, like getting ready for the movie and things like that. So it would make most sense to me that maybe he would be the next person that we would connect with.
Well, luckily, I think the guys are gonna try and reach out to Morris. So, with any luck, they'll be able to ask the important questions.
If they haven't choked, we really did Marcus dirty by sending him with Callum.
Okay, well, did we do Marcus dirty or did we do Callum dirty?
I'm gonna say we Marcus dirty, actually.
That is the subject of an entirely different adventure. So if you are done investigating this scene, if you have nothing else you would like to do in the apartment complex, then I will move on.
The only thing that I can think of to do now is to just talk to any of the neighbors, I guess. If she really hasn't been here in like 7 to 10 days, theoretically somebody could either confirm that or say, oh no, she was in fact here 3 days ago, or something. There are eyes everywhere here. So
Sure. Where do you start?
Walking out of Laura's apartment, turn, lock the door. Is anybody like staring at us at that moment?
I mean, with the time it would take you to canvass every single window, who knows? But your investigator instinct would say it would probably be best to start with people who can see Laura's apartment, right? That her upstairs neighbor might be helpful, but
Yes. Yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah. Then yes, I'm gonna take a look around, pick the most obvious one, either her next door neighbors or the one just across the way that has a nice sight line to her apartment, and I'll go up, knock on the door.
Oh, a delightful 34-year-old woman answers. She's 34. She looks older than 34, but she's 34. Very conservative in dress and makeup. Definitely not a woman who's enjoying the modern world as it encroaches upon her existence. But she opens the door. I almost just did a Golden Girls very old woman accent. That is not correct. But you get a nice polite, and in fact a little exceedingly polite, because they know you've been here, right? So it's like, oh yes, what could you ever possibly desire of me, is the tone that's coming out. But she goes, oh yes, hello, are you new residents here?
No, we're actually friends of Laura's. Do you know her?
Oh, everybody here knows Laura. She's the only movie star any of us. I mean, she's utterly wonderful.
Isn't she? Just a delight. But we were actually supposed to meet her for lunch and we didn't hear from her, so we popped on over and it looks like she hasn't been here in a while. I was wondering when the last time you saw her was, if if she left a couple hours ago or something like that.
Oh, a few hours. No. I mean, Laura hasn't been here since, and you see her kind of reaching back into her brain, doing finger stuff. And she's like, I think, it must have been Saturday or Sunday. No, Sunday was bingo. So it would have been Saturday that we saw her leave. I mean, someone from the studio must have sent a cab or something.
Oh, okay. She didn't. That's interesting. She didn't leave with anybody, just herself then.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time that it happens. It's not strange. I mean, that new director, they say he's so demanding, so strange. It wasn't the first time that she had to go in that late.
Late?
Oh, yeah. No, it was about 9 p.m.
Oh.
It was after my telestories had happened. I always listened to every single one, so I know those start at 8 and they end at 9. And it must have been the horn was honking right when the rolling credits were when that was going.
Oh, sure. Gosh. Sorry. Side note. What day is it today?
I don't remember. This would have been Saturday, September 25th, which would have been 6 days ago.
6 days ago. Okay, great. Okay.
I guess that makes today Friday.
Okay. Great. Oh gosh. Okay. You know what? Then I guess we'll just pop on over to the studio and see if she's over there. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Oh, I'm Eugenia Martin. It's so nice to meet you.
Oh, Eugenia, wonderful. I'm Mimi, and this is Coco. And so lovely to meet you. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry I couldn't be more helpful. That's what I told the police too.
Oh, the police have been here.
I mean, isn't that why you're asking?
No. When were the police here?
Oh, I'm sorry. I really shouldn't get involved in those kind of things. As a detectives and whatnot, that's really not my business.
Well, I mean, can I try and at this point reassure her that it's totally fine, especially if she's talking about the cop angle? I'll pull out my wallet, which definitely has our private eye information. And I would just like to reassure her that no, this is actually okay, yeah, this is actually why we're here, and she can feel totally confident in talking to us.
For sure. Yeah, go ahead and spend a point of reassurance as you definitely, oh no, we're legit. You have nothing to worry about, ma'am. See, I've got a piece of metal. It's totally fine.
Totally fine.
Yes, your little friend here, Eugenia, will explain that after the last, well, I'm trying to think of the right way to get these pieces of information to you in order. According to the police who were canvassing the apartment complex, no one has seen Laura since the screening of Unbroken on the 24th. There was a big studio party. Laura went. No one has seen her since. The police came through and they found no evidence of foul play in the apartment like you did. They assume that it was a taxi cab that picked her up because Laura does not own a car. And when Eugenia expressed concern and was worried about, her friend, her neighbor, the police said, "Oh, I wouldn't worry about it, ma'am. It's probably just the case that, your little friend is giddy from starring in her first role. She's probably taken off with a boyfriend for some romantic getaway, or the studio's tucked her away somewhere nice and safe. She doesn't get into trouble. I wouldn't worry about it."
Sorry, this is an above table question. You said the screening of Unbroken was on the 24th, but then you said that Eugenia saw her on the 25th. So I would just like clarification on which is correct.
They're both. The screening was on the 24th. No one has seen her since the 25th.
Oh, okay. I thought you said no one has seen her since the screening on the 24th, and I was like, okay, hold on.
Yeah, sorry, that might have been my mistake. But yes, no, the screening was on the 24th in the afternoon. No one has seen her since the 25th. The 25th is the day that she
disappeared at 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, the cab. Okay, great. Wonderful. Any questions, Johanna?
This just got entirely much more interesting. I do not have anything for Eugenia. You said your name was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's Greek.
You know, I picked up on that. No, I don't have any.
Eugenia, thank you so much for your time. If you and I'll reach in and I have a card with like our office number, fairly standard, and I'll just hand it to her and I'll say, if you hear anything else, please give us a call. Yeah?
Oh, of course. I mean, are you working the case for the police?
Family.
Oh, that's so tragic. Of course, yes. If I hear anything, I'll be sure to let you know.
Thank you so much. We would really appreciate it.
Well, I will give the two of you time to chew on that information as we head across town, where Callum and Marcus, after what I can only assume is an incredibly awkward car ride, we arrive at Vinny's restaurant. Callum, what is the name of Vinny's restaurant, or is it just Vinny's restaurant?
It is, in fact, Pastiolo's.
Pastiolo's. That sounds like a nice 2-3 star joint. Not too fancy that the normal folk can't go afford it, but some good food there, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, like the normal folk can come in, but then there's the secret menu.
Oh, right.
Yeah, right. That's where you get the really good. That's where like you get the feel.
Mm-hmm. Unknown fact of California lore that the secret menu at Pastiolo's was what explained a young waiter when he founded his restaurant In-N-Out to continue the tradition.
It was robbed my faithful Vinny, robbed him blind with that. Very upsetting.
Well, you have contacted Vinny ahead of time looking for Morris Harrison. When you call Vinny on the phone, he, of course, knows the name. Most diner restaurant folks in the area, they know Morris Harrison because Morris Harrison likes to make a circuit of local restaurants. I'm looking for the waitresses. I mean, it's a tale as old as time and still currently true. If you want to be an actor in Los Angeles, you move to Los Angeles, you get a waiting job, and then you waste 30 years of your life not getting a big break. This is not true for our friend Laura, but that is the circuit that Morris makes. So Vinny's restaurant is one of the ones that Morris frequents, and it so happens that he expects Morris to come around sometime tonight, if tonight or tomorrow.
Before we walk in, I'm gonna look at Marcus and look, Marky, you got it. Gotta play nice today. Vinny's still real pissed off. Okay, you gonna play nice?
I always play nice. I've apologized God knows how many times about the incident, but I won't rise to anything that he says if that's what you're insinuating.
He's gonna.
Brilliant.
Just be ready for that. We don't need any craziness tonight, all right?
No, I definitely don't want any craziness tonight. Let's just get this over and done with, and let's go meet back up with the ladies. Lead on.
Callum, for my benefit, can you explain a little bit about Vinny? Describe this gentleman so I can give voice to the restaurant owner.
Vinny is a very classic, sort of New York Italian come California way. He's got a lot of family connections out in New York. That's where Pastiolo started. This is actually like the son.
A franchise.
Yeah, so the son has come over to California to expand Pastiolos. I am actually from New York as well, and that's where I learned, where I was educated about chemistry, things like that. And that's how I got my job at the university, which was great because the university is only about a quarter mile from the restaurant, and we learned how to, dig tunnels in New York. So he is very, very congenial to all of his customers. He is known as someone with a huge smile and a big hug for all the people. But you will also hear him screaming at the kitchen staff occasionally if they mess something up for a VIP. And there are plenty of nooks and crannies in the restaurant to have discreet conversations about things.
Well, content warning for any of our viewers who used to be servers or kitchen staff. Then yes, I'm not going to attempt a New York accent. We work with people from New York, and I'd like to continue working with them. But you proceed in, and Vinny comes out at first just behind the bar, or maybe expediting an order. He looks over, he sees you, and it's just Callum, and he comes out from behind. He walks over, big hug, round the arms, slapping you on the back. Yeah, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I got it for you. I did. And he pulls out the $100 that he got from the friend. He's like, here you go. That's it. This Jamook behind me should be all cleared up now, right? We're good? Everything paid?
This Jamook, and then at this point that Vinny realizes, like, he's been so fixated on you that he didn't look behind his shoulder and be like, oh, this fucking guy. But Callum, you can't pay off his debt. It's his debt. Come on.
Look, it's fine. It's fine. Making a killing from the studios. It's fine. I just want to make sure you're taken care of because your family.
You got too much heart, kid. Now I tell you, and at this point, he said, I tell you, and he's broken off the hug now, and he's giving like the knife hand finger point at Marcus. You owe this guy $100.
He owes me a hell of a lot more than that.
Yeah, I owe a lot more than that, yes.
Yeah. Well, who am I? Hospitality shouldn't be talking about business here. What can I do for you, friends? You here for the bar? No, there would be no bar. Or at least he wouldn't say it like that. You here for dinner? Something a little extra?
And he sort of looks around a little bit. He's like, what I'm really in the mood for? And he uses their code word for Aperol, which is, I'm really, some fresh squeezed orange juice, I think, is what I'm in the mood for tonight. You got anybody else here drinking fresh squeezed?
I am not up on my prohibition lingo, but yeah, he's like, oh yeah, there's definitely goblins in the sewers here, and I'm more than happy to let you shuck a few eggs with them, or Vinny, whatever it is.
We gotta work on that thing. Good. We gotta fix it up for you.
But he will wave you along into the discreet part of the restaurant. It is ostensibly like staff only, but it's kind of hidden away. Not a proper speakeasy with a secret door, but it's far enough away that if the police showed up, he'd be able to be loud in the beginning or in the entryway and let everyone kind of go. Are you intimating to him that you want to continue speaking, or is he just supposed to like set you up and let you drink?
There's just look. All right. There's So why don't you come back and visit with us in a little bit? Haven't seen you in a while. Lots to talk about. There's just some family business. But I'm wondering if you got any contacts with our families in out in Russia.
Oh, yeah. Tell you what. And he takes a moment to kind of step back from that transition from front of house to secret part of house, and you hear him roaring out in the background like, Lena, I swear to fucking God, if you don't get the pasta to number 7, been waiting, banging on the table. A very meek and tired voice from the back is like, yes, chef. But he's like, oh God, new help. People come in all the time. They don't want to be cooks. They want to be actors. Everyone's an actor in this town, or a fucking screenwriter.
Tell me about it.
You know what? The writers, they're the worst. But eventually he will settle in, having beverages for you, for your friend Marcus, for himself, and then kind of leaning forward on big chef arms, like, so what is it I can do for you? Someone done wrong by you?
Oh no, we just we're looking to see if somebody else might be a relative from a distant lineage, maybe across the Caucasus Mountains, maybe. They you know anybody in the industry?
Oh God, from that part of the world, honestly, I mean, no, I mean, God, with what's happened over there, I think the 1926, the October Revolution has happened. They are Soviets now. So he's like, I mean, the people who made it out, God bless them, they got business coming up. You know how that's happening back on the East. But as far as people here, I mean, yeah, you got immigrants and stuff, but I don't know that there's family.
Okay. All right, that's good. So none of the higher ups over the studios.
No, because I mean, this is the part where in the actual time it would turn into Jewish conspiracy theories. But the point that he makes is that they keep a real tight lock on the power there hidden, and that it's a scam according to your friend Vinny. But yeah, that industry, he says, is not friendly to people coming from not the Iron Curtain yet, but from that part of the world. But I mean, it will lead eventually to, the only one that I know of is that weirdo Zaharov. But I mean, like, the guy prints money. I guess those people, they'll let anyone in if they can put banks in the bank. Put bucks in the bank.
So Zahara isn't he's not like married in or anything?
Oh no, I mean, have you heard the stories? That guy's a freak. And I don't mean like I don't mean like your aunt's a freak. I just mean like
she is. I mean, come on. Like everybody east of the Mississippi. Like that's God bless her heart. Bless her soul. God love and keep her.
I mean, my favorite woman in the world, and not for those reasons.
Absolutely. The stories.
But yeah, he goes on to explain that Zaharov is like artist. He cares only about making these films that, like, and is it trauma? Is it just like, I don't know if they wouldn't have like, world spanning chess masters, but he describes it in like the obsessive kind of, that he makes films the way that serial killers commit killings, right? Just like emotionless all the way in, focused down, unmarried, has no relatives that he knows of.
You can stop talking about our aunt now.
In fact, like, he has a home, no one sees him in it. Like, the only reason that anyone knows of him, like, as a Russian guy, is because he's the archetypical weird Russian, like, Rasputin figure who is just like creepy as shit.
You got an address on that house?
He does not, but I might be able to find a guy who knows a guy.
What you need?
So for the purposes of the game, we would take reassurance, bargain, any kind of interpersonal skill. Let that define the angle that you're going to take.
All right, I'm good. Can I use my credit rating as information currency?
Yes, but to spend that, you end up losing that credit rating for the rest of the game. So you can make like a one-time expenditure, but in the future, if you need that money, you're not liquid enough anymore. So if you want to be like, well, here's the thing, and then drop a fat stack on the table, you can, but that's the one time you can do it at that level for the remainder of the scenario.
Then what I think I'd like to do is, I'm gonna reach my hand into my pants, and I'm gonna give him a handshake, and I'm gonna have one of my little guns in my hand, and just maybe you give your friend a little something. Okay,
yeah, I'll take credit. I'll take credit rating that way. Yes, of course, the informal economy among ethnic enclaves in Los Angeles is to this day defined by bartering and quid pro quo trades. You speak in his language, he knows exactly what's up. So yeah, he'll have a guy look into it. It might take some time because he has to be discreet about it and find someone who knows. But he'll see if he can track that down for you.
In the meantime, you got any of those stuffed shells?
Oh, of course I do. If fucking Lena would get her shits again, he's yelling back in.
You're gonna love these stuffed shells. They're amazing. They're amazing. Please do not tell the other chefs that they are for Marky. I prefer not to have saliva in my food.
Oh, fucking worst. I got broken glass coming back in here. You broke the restaurant, Mark. You're making that face like you don't know what's going on. You drove a car. You invented the drive-through in 1926, and you know what? The world wasn't ready for it.
I have apologized for that. As much as I could possibly do, I have apologized for it, and you just not let it go. It's as if you Americans have got an issue with letting things go.
Don't hit him. Don't take a swing.
Hands on the other table, like I swear to fucking God.
The stuffed shells are just for me. They're just for me.
So do you is this the point where you turn the conversation to Morris, or
yeah, well, I'm expecting that like he'll show up pretty soon, and I'm gonna send my friend the chef back into the kitchen, and I'm gonna head over to the bar and just say, hey, how many bottles Aperol you got back there?
I have no idea what is an appropriate amount, but they can keep you well stocked for the evening. Two. You know what?
Well,
fuck
what
it.
I want.
They have 3.
Oh, they got 3. I want all 3 bottles. I want him to come to me to get his Aperol. You got it?
Oh yeah, understood.
All right, Marky, hide 2 of these bottles in your giant friggin' trousers.
I mean, my trousers are formal wear. They're quite form-fitting, so they're going to fine whatever and just shove them down the front of the trousers.
Oh, I like this because if you're staking it out, eventually Morris comes into the restaurant. It'll be 30 or 40 minutes. You can enjoy a meal.
I got stuffed shells.
Yeah. And this will lead to a hilarious moment where the guy Morris gets directed to you by the bartender, and then this gentleman, he's shorter than you might have imagined. He's maybe 5'6", 5'7", very not fat, but like a neglected dad bod kind of vibe. He's very cuddly. His face has a very high receding hairline. He has those very thin, round wireframe glasses. He's still wearing a shirt and a tie and a jacket, but it's from the end of the office day, so the tie is a little loose, the shirt is a little, sweaty. And he comes over and he's looking around. He doesn't know either of you. He assumes this is part of the business with Jimmy. And he looks to Marcus and goes, "So is that a bottle of Aperol in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?"
Actually, no, it's 2 bottles of Aperol. And yes, I am happy to see you.
Yeah, Marcus gets real happy sometimes.
So, well, the guy said I should come to you. Do I give you the money? Is that how this works?
Oh no, you're fine. We're just here to have a chat. Just a nice. You want some Aperol? You know what? They got some seltzer behind the bar. We'll make it fancy. Little Aperol spritz. That's what we'll do.
Morris is this is weird, but as is always the case when you're kind of engaging in criminal enterprise, you kind of have to play along and play it by ear. He's not scared. He's not spooked off yet. But he's a little, this is not how business normally goes, but we'll see what happens. Assuming that you don't prompt him, he will just drink and go on. So how do you broach the topic?
I'm gonna look over at Marcus and just be like, what? Like, sort of follow his lead a little bit. He's the actual private eye.
Well, Mr. Harrison, We've come to talk to you about a client of yours, a friend of yours, I believe.
Yeah, after a drink, right?
After a drink, of course, yes.
Yeah.
Have a drink.
Are you with the police?
No.
You have to tell me if you're with the police.
No, we're working for the family.
The family, and he's looking around the room like, what the shit?
No,
Not this family.
No, the actual. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, Morris is not panicking. Morris is just like, he's kind of an idiot about this kind of thing. So he was, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I didn't know her family was getting involved. Yeah, it's horrible. I know Laura, she wouldn't this is not like her. She would never just leave. But look, anything that I can do to help you, I'll tell you what I told the cops. If you have a question, anything that just gets her back.
Were the pair of you close?
Well, I mean, and he gets a little defensive, in that he's overreacting to the insinuation that their relationship was improper, but not in a way that suggests it was improper. He reacts in like a "how dare you? She's my daughter" kind of way.
I'm gonna kick Marcus under the table. Be like, why don't you have a little more apple roll? It is so you know what? I'm gonna throw in there just a little squeeze of this orange peel. It's amazing if you try it with just a little bit of orange peel. Marcus here is way too close to everybody. Anyway.
Ow!
Why don't you have some stuff?
What was that for? I was only asking if they were close in terms of friendship. I was told that they were friends.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, in my line of work, you see thousands of people coming into this town, and some of them, like, they're good enough to put on screen, but they don't really have it, you know. But Laura, she's special. She has the look and she has the talent, and I mean, I knew the second that I saw her, she would be a star. I mean, but also, like, God, this town, it eats people like Laura up. I mean, you think it's all just pictures of her being nice and wholesome. That's who she is. When she got her first check from the studio, she almost missed paying her rent because she sent it all home to like her friends and family in Missouri because they've been struggling.
She didn't even give any to her sister?
Are you saying you mean her sister or her cousin?
Her cousin.
I mean, maybe I don't really keep track of. I mean, anyway, the
Did
point
you ever
was.
meet her cousin?
Oh God, no! Why would I go to Missouri?
No, the one that lives here.
The point of fact, Virginia traveled here from Missouri.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, that's real sweet of her. That's real nice.
So I've been doing my best for the kid, you know, being a mentor, keeping her away from the wrong types, keeping her out of trouble. And I mean, God, it just looks like trouble found her anyway.
When was the last time you saw her?
Oh, that would have been at the feature. We were screening her new movie, which, by the way, is gonna be just colossal. You cannot wait to see that. She is just a dream in it. The performance, I have to tell you what, I never cry in movies. This movie, I cried.
Really?
It's that good. And that's what so she went to that and, you know, had the little party afterwards. I mean, she was all just, you know, totally mature is not the word I'm looking for, but she was definitely not drinking a ton is what I'm getting at. She was polite. She
Very
was
self-possessed.
Yeah. So her normal self-possessed self. And then, you know, next day we were supposed to have lunch and it turns out she didn't make it.
That's so strange. Was that like her? Not to show up for appointments?
Oh God, never. I mean, even just like studio stuff forever. But a lunch went with me, she at least would have called.
Did you see her talking to anybody at the after party?
Yeah, I mean, she was making the rounds. I mean, she has to. She's not the best when it comes to mingling, but she's getting a lot better at it.
Interesting.
I'm just so sorry that all this is going on. I mean, a cousin comes all the way out from the middle of nowhere, gets out here, the cousin's missing. It's just, how many drinks deep are we now? Like, how much of the bottle of Aperol have we gone through?
We'll say a couple. We don't want to get him so drunk that he can't, keep facts straight,
Yeah.
and you have to wonder. But
there's, I'm just so curious. Did you ever actually get on the set?
Oh yeah. As part of his job, in terms of casting, he's real close in the process. He does the work of the agent, but inside the studio, it's a bit weird to be working for the boss, but also against the boss. But yeah, he's not on the set all the time, but like he would visit, especially if like Laura needed something, or and he would do the same thing for any of his not his clients, but the people kind of under his thing.
Was there ever anything weird? I mean, I couldn't get on set. I make the damn film, and I couldn't get onto the set.
I mean, nothing more weird than just Zaharov being himself. This is what you're asking about, right? The set of Unbroken? Yeah, he's just, I mean, like, okay, it comes out in the movies, but he is just so demanding. Wants to use his own equipment, wants to use his own, gotta have this person score it. Just all the stories you've heard, they're true. But he brings out just the greatest performances in people. And I mean, he's really elevating the work of cinema, and Laura's gonna ride that like a rocket ship. Do rockets exist in 1926? No. He's gonna ride that like a really fast train. I need a better euphemism. Anyway, yes, it's weird, but again, like it just kind of like in a creepy kind of way. Like if you saw Alexander Saharov on a subway train, you would sit the next train down. You'd be like, oh no, it's fine, I'll wait. But it's not like, there was ritual blood cutting or nothing done to her that was untoward, or any of the other actors.
Oh, well,
Josh, sorry, Marcus, did you have your hand up like you had a thing?
No, sorry. I was just thinking about what you were saying. So I was swatting something away. It's odd. Is the set still open?
No. I mean, they would have closed that. I don't know the date that principal photography wrapped, but it's already done and with. They've moved into the editing now. If they have to get a couple more shots, they might, but it's on to promotions, it's on to the big tours. Once the big debut happens in LA, then she'll go around the whole country, getting people to see the movie.
Where was that party?
It was on the studio lot. They have a screening room there. Everyone watched like the first cut of it, like it's a glorious film. And then the party would have been on the studio in one of their like little restaurants or whatever after.
Yeah, there's okay. You've just been so nice, so helpful. I'm sorry for Marcus here being just Marcus. You can call him Marky though, if you want, since you're friends now. But yeah, hey, why don't you feel free to hang out. We got plenty of Aperol here. I got seltzer. I'm just gonna refill some drinks for everybody.
For the purposes of the scene, he'll hang out and continue drinking with you. If you have other specific questions, again, happy to answer them. But I don't want to just get in the habit of just barfing everything out.
There's I'm still just waiting for the chef to come back with information about where the director lived. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I would be familiar enough with the sort of ecosystem of the movie lots to sort of know where they would have had the actual party. Is that the case?
Yeah, well, they would have been. It happened on the studio lot, in like whatever private club they have. I don't know if there's like a restaurant or anything like that, but like the scenario just says it happens on the movie lot in one of their fancy clubs. So it was not like a party that other outside people got into. It was like everyone who's involved in the movie gets to watch it together, and then we'll all go drink to how incredibly awesome we are.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
We've already established that yourself and Miss Angel are close friends. Did she have any partners that nobody knew about? I know obviously she lives in one of those apartment areas where that are only for female stars and stuff. But were there any secret boyfriends or lovers or anything like that she had?
Oh, no. And that's why, like, as I told the police the same thing, that's why their theory about, oh, it's a boyfriend is bullshit. Look, Laura, every single boyfriend Laura has ever had in this town, she's told me about. She would let me know. And the only time...
Has she told you about any girlfriends?
Well, the partners generally, sorry, yeah. The only people that she's ever been with us in town, Nathan Armbruster, Bobby Hendricks, and Reginald Tyler. Name-wise, they are all actors, but like none of them are big actors. Yeah. At the current place, they would be the kind of person who occasionally gets on an episode of Law & Order SVU, but does not get a starring role. But I mean, none of those, they didn't last very long. And I mean, God, they haven't cropped up since.
What about Miles Desmond?
What about him? He's a drunk and a hack.
Was there any... I know that her breakout role was in a supporting role done by himself. Was there any ill feelings between... not between her and him, but between him, should I say? You know, she broke out, she became a bigger star than whatever the project that he did was. Is there any sort of ill...
I mean, Miles is a talentless, terrible worm of a human being, but I don't think he'd go that far. I mean, he's a creep, but he hasn't ever really been a creep to Laura. I mean, like I said, she would have told me, and it was nice that, like, he gave her the role, but the thing about guys like Miles, there's only two kinds of folks like that. They're the ones who know that they're hacks and just come to accept that about their life, and they're the ones who don't know that they're hacks, and then they go on to continue making American Horror Story seasons over and over and over again. Miles is definitely the second or the first kind of guy. He knows what he's putting out, and he's content with it.
He does, and that's fine. You know, like I know Miles. You know, he is a hack. But he's a sweet guy, you know. I wouldn't call him a creep.
If you give him time, Morris will regale you of if not casting couch, then casting couch adjacent stories. If that changes Callum's understanding of the world, then that's fine. But yes, no, I mean, inside the industry, very low, he has a reputation, which is one of the reasons that Morris went out of his way to supervise that working relationship and then move on.
Look, so I know how Morris operates. All right. How did Laura actually get the part?
Oh, by honest to God, good talent. I knew the role was coming up, and I introduced the two of them together. She did a scene, and it was perfect. I don't remember. The other woman had to drop out for some reason. I mean, went back home. I don't remember. Laura got the role. Absolutely killed it.
Who was this other lady?
Yeah.
Oh, God, you know how it is. It wasn't one that I cast, and it's the kind of one who shows up in town for 2 weeks, gets a part, can't handle the pressure, and then just goes home. It happens 1,000 times a day.
Yeah, there's I'm gonna go check something real quick. And I'd like to head back out to the front of the restaurant and grab Vinny and just Vinny, you know the party that they did up at the lot for the premiere that they just had? There's you know anybody on the catering staff?
I do not think he would. The studio system there, it's at that time it was everything was in-house. They had their own kitchen, they had their own store, like no one else gets to get in for a million different reasons, and some of them tied to the fact that like Edison was still being a bit of a shitter at that point about patents. So yeah, he wouldn't have known that. I think the best information he could give you about that is that everything that goes on to the lot in any way that is not in-house has to go through their head of security. His name is Ward Frederick. But aside from that,
I've met him a couple times delivering film. Yeah, no, I know. It's okay. Thank you. Let me know whenever the chef gets done, and I'm gonna head back in to the bar.
I think for the purposes of the narrative, it'll make sense if you find out the house tomorrow. I mean, if nothing else, if you found it out tonight, you would not want to go when Zaharov is home, right?
Absolutely.
So we can say that, yeah, you'll get that information. He'll get it overnight. He'll give it to you in the morning. Is there anything else that you're looking for out of Morris at this time?
Not from me personally. He's given us quite a lot of not useless information, but information that we could potentially work from later on, depending on what our other two companions have found.
Yeah, I think. Thank you so much, Morris. I want you to know you're like family. You come over here anytime you want.
He has no idea how to handle this information. He is a socially awkward man who is only good really at casting people for movies. So he's very much like, excellent. And his face says, I have no idea what this means. Do we like spit in our hands and swear an oath? I don't.
Morris. I think you're great.
You've made him sound like you.
So these conversations wrapping up, the dinner happening. I think that would mean that Minnie and Johanna, they have to spend some time alone at the office, but eventually there will come a time of the night when the four of you all check back in together and compare your notes. We don't need to go through and again just rehash things. And as we're coming up to the end of the episode, let's talk about where your neurons are pointing. What about this has seemed suspicious so far? What are questions you still want answers to? What is it you're looking for in the next? Where do we go next?
Well, I had a question, just because I would like a little bit of clarification, because the guys didn't ask this question, but Morris was supposed to meet her the day after the studio screening for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So the day that she disappeared at night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she did not make the lunch, but she was still presumably around because the last time she was seen was 9 hours later at 9 o'clock when she left.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Love that for us.
Oh, look, I brought you a present. And he pulls out a bottle of Aperol.
Oh, Callum, you know a way to a girl's heart.
I do. I know you love me.
Well, I mean, all signs, I guess, point to the studio, maybe. I don't know if we can get onto the studio lot at all. And as we're having this conversation, I'm definitely grabbing glasses from Marcus's desk to pour some Aperol for us. But, I mean, logically, well, okay, I guess this is a question. Would the studio would have cameras, right? And like, would there be security? Would there be security?
No, in 1926, there's no security cameras in the.
There's nothing at all.
That doesn't.
I forget that this is like 100 years ago, but like nothing existed 100 years ago.
Yeah, there might be like some security guards with like dogs or something, you know.
There's also the fact that Morris confirmed that the set itself wouldn't be there anymore because the film was finished a while ago. So,
I mean, yeah, but the party happened, right?
Yeah,
yes.
The security camera wasn't invented until 1969. But if you've seen like the picture of the Paramount gate, and it's literally a gate with a wall, and that is how they built them. So you just couldn't get on set because there was a thing. And yeah, there'll be guards at the gates, guards with dogs patrolling at night, but no security cameras, no laser alarms, no.
Look, if we're trying to get on the lots, you know, I can just show up with a box of film, and I can talk to head of security and tell them I'm delivering something if we need to get in there. And I want to talk to some of those people that was working that party and see just who Laura was talking to.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to say we've also got the director's house as well for that Unbroken film that we could go to. A lot of people have said that he's a bit of a oddball, so maybe she might be there.
Well, and I got a couple friends working on some things. We might get a little information about like where this crazy bastard lives.
I'm curious to know, maybe I missed it, who called the police? Because her cousin had said she didn't want to get the police involved. Getting the police involved in situations like this is considered scandalous and potentially career-ending.
I thought that as well, but I didn't think to bring it up when Morris said about talking to the police because I didn't want to alarm him.
In fact, no one has told you who had called the police.
Correct. And I've been pondering on it and thinking about it such. And then also knowing, didn't the director go out of town to New York? Yeah? Or he is going?
It was not made clear to you.
Okay. Because this is interesting bit of information as well that we should delve on, because she's been last place that a lot of people saw her was at the premiere on the 24th. 25th at evening was when one person recalls seeing her. She missed a lunch that day. I'm curious to know if any of these dates kind of line up with this kooky Magoo director going to New York and her never returning home. That's kind of a late time at night for a young lady to be leaving, especially with an 8 to 8 posted on the door.
I was actually gonna ask Aaron if it's a thing that would have been, but like if the studio called the cab company to go pick Laura up, would there be like a record of that we could check?
You'd have to ask with the cab company.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it is a thing that potentially we could seek out.
If not an actual record book, you can find the driver. I mean, there's got to be a way to get that information somehow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do we know for certain it was a cab that was called that picked her up? Because Eugenia said that she assumed that that's who it was because she left late at night all the time. So we don't even know 100% if she got in, but knowing if the studio sent somebody to her at that time would be helpful. Some secretary of the director maybe, or somebody in coordinating at the studio would know when they're picking up actors and actresses, especially such on a closed set with a director such as Alexander, who makes things be extremely difficult. I would think there would be some sort of log or set of specific notes, like, green M&Ms must be present in the dressing room, to make.
I'm going to grab a little glass of Aperol and I'm going to take it over to Johanna and just be like, I love the way your brain works. You're beautiful.
But see, I think the thing is, like, we're actually kind of getting a little bit of ahead of ourselves because we don't know for certain that it was in fact a cab, which is why I'm asking if we should follow up on this lead, because if we call a cab company, the typical cab, like if we can find out what cab company would have gone over there, or like what cab company the studio uses, send it over there. See if they actually called somebody or if there was a record of somebody having gone there, and if not, then it may not be a cab company at all. It may have been somebody else.
Well, based on what Eugenia said, she did see a cab.
Oh, that wasn't she said, I thought she said she thought it was a cab, but not.
Yeah, I'm doing you the work of not having you just like circle Los Angeles looking for car companies. She saw a cab. And at this particular period in Los Angeles, they weren't like assigned turf, but you did not want to be a cabbie who was driving outside of your turf unless you were just dropping someone off. you'd be able to narrow it down to one or two possible cab companies. And if you wanted to chase that information down that direction, you could. They could say, yes, we did this, or no, they did that. That information is usually private. If you need a warrant to get it, so you'll have to be prepared some way to convince them that you should have it. But that, I think, then leaves you with 4 leads you want to follow as we close this session and think about next time. 1, who picked Laura up and where did she go? 2, who called the police? And then if no one called the police, what does Ward Frederick, head of security, think about this investigation surrounding the actress? What does he know about the sets and who went where? You would like to know what's going on at his house. Is there anything? Who is this weirdo director? You investigate that. And then last things last, you are interested in the screening and the party. Did I have that right? Well, oh my God, we started with 0 questions. We ended in the middle with like 2, and now we're up to 4. They're multiplying. But I have every faith that our group of investigators will be able to figure it out when we return next time to The Dream Factory, a scenario for Trail of Cthulhu by John Scott Tynes. I have had a blast watching all of you noodle over and over again, because every time that I say something and you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. And you go into the book and I'm loving that energy. For the viewers at home, if they want to see more of y'all having a great time braining your way through big brainy adventures, we will start with Hooli. Hooli, tell them who you are, tell them where they can find you, tell them what you do.
I am Hooli of Heroes and Hooligans. Essentially, I project manage / mom over there. We are an inclusive and diverse TTRPG community with DMs and GMs from all different places and walks of life in the world. We have a lot of stuff going on. I think we have like 15 shows on docket. We're at 7 days of content. You can find us at Heroes and Hooligans with 0s instead of O's on Twitch, or any of the other information you need, heroesandhooligans.org.
And adjacent, my friend Hooli, is my friend Kyle. Kyle, if people want to see more Kyle, and who doesn't want to see more Kyle? We could all use more Kyle. Where should they find you? Where should they look for you? How can they get to see more of your stuff?
Well, they can see me and my fabulous beard over at Playnard Allies, where I am the forever GM. No, I'm not beard shaming. All right, you're glorious. You're glorious. You can find me over at Playnard Allies on Twitch, Allies Nerd on Twitter, and I am the production manager for the project manager for the Rolling Together stream team. So you can sort of see me all around the intranets talking up the various people that are doing fabulous things like you all. Yay!
We've been known on occasion to do a fabulous thing. Speaking of fabulous things, no, not things, people. Our technical wizard, Joshua, appearing now for once not D&D. It's been great. We have an agreement, a bit of a détente, that I can drag him into the spooky horror games, and eventually he'll force me to play Dungeons & Dragons. We all make sacrifices for art. Josh, if they want to see more of you, tell our good listeners, where can they find you? Where can they find it?
Hey, everybody can find me. I am the self-titled Jester of the Court over here at Queen's Court Games. I'm trying to get it to stick. Eventually it will. I'm hoping it will. No? Okay. Well, I mean, I tried.
I feel better about it than I think V does. I'm behind you.
QCG Jester is the name of our scheduling bot. So you can't be the Jester unless you handle all the scheduling too.
Damn it. Well, I mean, I handle Starlet scheduling, so I'm sort of halfway there.
Oh, you're on your way.
Man has a point.
Yeah. Anyway, I am also on the Monday shows with Astral Sea Chronicles and Astral Sea Origins. We're doing loads of recording for that sort of stuff. We have a couple of other projects that we're doing.
Lastly, but again, not leastly, joining us, you always have the questions, because you let everybody else, like, okay, let me get that out of the way, and then at the end of it, you're like, all right, I'm staring at the puzzle. Here are the things that I need to know. And it's very much like, I'll let you all do the groundwork, and I'm just going to kind of like watch and see what I can pick up. So, overseer of the mystery, Minnie Foster, it's V. V, if people want to see more of you, if they want to watch you do more stuff, if they need someone to come oversee the mysteries in their streams, where should they find you?
You can find me over on Twitter at V is for Vampire, because my name is V and I love vampires, as evidenced by the fact that I play vampires. And then also the one time I show up in Kyle's stream, I also played a vampire. And I think I have a type, actually. Anyway, but also here at Queen's Court Games, as Josh said, Mondays all the time, all of our bonus content out on Patreon. We have so much going on all the time, a lot of good stuff in the works, so much of that written and orchestrated by Aaron. So Aaron, if people want to see what you're doing behind the scenes, where can they find you?
Well, first of all, someone wanted to see that I would caution them against it. Stare not ye into the abyss, lest the abyss stare back. Writing is a terrible process. It's awful, and it gets messy in there. But if, despite that warning, you want to see more about that, you can find me at Aaron in Words on Twitter. I put up tidbits of things that I'm writing for games, my thoughts on scenarios that we're playing. Eventually, I'll have some kind of like reviewy thoughts going on about scenarios, but I'm not confident enough for that right now. Still have to get my thoughts in order. You can find all of the things that we do at Queen's Court RPG on Twitter or Queen's Court Games on Instagram, Clock app, the other app, that other app. You know the ones I'm
Facebook.
thinking of.
Yeah.
Where you can find our schedule, covering all those things. You will be able to see the continuation of this story next week, same time, same place, same channel, same people, same fun, same acting, running out of things to continue that joke. In the meantime, we will take off for now. We cannot wait to see you again soon. It's been great having my guests. It's been great having you as the audience, but bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.